Welcome to the Echoes of Ihsan podcast, where we like to go on these deep dives into some really captivating Islamic texts.
Yeah.
And today, we're going to be turning our attention to the Muwatta Imam Malik,
Okay.
specifically Book 49, called The Description of the Prophet.
Very nice.
I'm so excited to kind of like unravel all the gems of wisdom and insight that are held within this book.
Oh, it's a treasure trove for sure.
Yeah.
It offers a very unique perspective on the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, as documented by Imam Malik, who is a prominent scholar of Islamic jurisprudence.
Yeah, and one of the things that really struck me as I was going through this book was how it kind of blends detailed descriptions of the prophet's appearance
Yes.
with these really profound insights into his character
Yes.
and guidance on everyday matters.
It's true.
It's really fascinating.
It paints this holistic picture.
Yeah.
It reminds us that the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was both a spiritual guide,
Right.
but also a human being, navigating the complexities of life,
Absolutely.
just like we are.
Yeah.
And that his teachings weren't just these abstract concepts,
Right.
but practical wisdom
Yeah.
for daily living.
Let's start with the description of the prophet's physical appearance.
Okay.
What I found so interesting about it was how humanizing it was.
Mm,
Like you're meeting a real person,
I agree.
not some kind of like mythical figure.
Yeah, I think that the book relies heavily on the first-hand account of Anas ibn Malik, who spent years in the prophet's company.
Right.
And he describes him as neither excessively tall nor short,
Okay.
and or overly pale nor dark. His
Wow.
hair wasn't curly or straight, but somewhere in between.
Right.
So, just this very balanced.
It's like he's dispelling any preconceived notions we might have.
Right.
It reminds me of those portraits that you see sometimes where the figures are overly idealized,
Yeah.
almost to the point where they lose their human touch.
Precisely. And
Yeah.
I think it's crucial to have an accurate understanding of his appearance because it helps us connect with him
Right.
on a human level.
Yeah.
It reminds us that he faced the same joys and sorrows and challenges that we all experience.
Yeah.
And this in turn makes his teachings more relatable
Yeah.
and applicable to our lives.
Yeah. And then the book also mentions these specific details about his life.
Yes.
That he received his first revelation at 40.
Hmm.
He spent 10 years each in Mecca and Medina
Right.
and passed away at 60 with only a few white hairs in his beard and hair.
Right.
So it's this timeline that makes his life feel more tangible.
Yes, I agree. These details help ground his story in history. It's not just some distant legend, but a life that unfolded in a very specific time and place.
Right.
And the fact that he didn't have many white hairs at 60
Yeah.
really speaks to a life lived with purpose and intensity.
Now, there's this particularly intriguing section that caught my eye about the prophet's dream,
Yes.
where he saw both Isa,
Uh-huh.
or Jesus, as he's known in English,
Yeah.
and the Dajjal.
Oh.
It feels almost surreal.
Dreams hold a very special significance in Islamic tradition.
Yeah.
They're often seen as a window into the unseen world.
Right.
The prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, described Isa as incredibly handsome with dark skin and hair reaching his shoulders dripping with water.
Oh, wow. That imagery is so vivid.
Yeah.
When you said dripping with water, it made me think of like purity and renewal,
Yes.
almost like a baptism.
That's a beautiful interpretation.
Yeah.
In Islamic belief, Isa, peace be upon him, is a revered prophet
Right.
who will return to earth near the end of time.
Yeah.
And so this description in the dream kind of emphasizes his human form and perhaps hints at the blessings associated with his return.
And then you have the description of the Dajjal,
Yes.
which couldn't be more different.
Totally different.
Wiry hair, blind in one eye,
Yeah.
resembling a floating grape.
It's a strange image.
It's a bizarre image
It is.
and unsettling.
Yeah. The Dajjal is a deceptive figure
Yeah.
who will appear before the end times,
Right.
trying to lead people astray. And so this unusual description, particularly the floating grape imagery,
Yeah.
might symbolize his deceptive nature.
Right.
That he might appear attractive and harmless on the surface,
Yeah.
but ultimately lead to corruption and destruction.
It's almost like this dream is setting up a contrast between these two figures, representing these opposing forces of truth and falsehood, good and evil.
Right.
What do you make of the fact that they appear together in the same dream?
I think it suggests their interconnectedness in the grand narrative of Islamic belief.
Right.
Perhaps it highlights this ongoing struggle between truth and falsehood
Yeah.
and reminds us to be vigilant
Yeah.
and discerning
This dream definitely leaves you with a lot to ponder.
Yes, it does.
It's a reminder that even in the realm of dreams, the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, receives profound insights
Yes.
and warnings.
And it's a reminder for us that understanding these figures and their significance is crucial for navigating the complexities of our times. It's about discerning truth from falsehood and staying steadfast in our faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Muwatta Imam Maliks.
Yeah, I'm still reeling from that dream we discussed. That imagery was so powerful.
It was a powerful dream.
It's really amazing how this book just seamlessly weaves between these spiritual glimpses and practical guidance for everyday life.
It really speaks to the holistic nature of Islam, where spirituality isn't confined to just rituals, but it permeates every aspect of life.
Speaking of practical guidance, I was really intrigued by the section on fitra, which refers to our natural state and inherent practices. It's like Islam recognizes that there's something innate within us, this blueprint for goodness.
Exactly. It's the idea that humans are born with a natural inclination towards purity, both physically and spiritually. And the book highlights this by sharing a hadith from Abu Huraira, which lists 5 practices that are considered part of the fitra.
Those are cutting the nails, trimming the mustache, removing armpit hair, shaving pubic hair, and circumcision. And they seem like everyday hygiene practices. But the book kind of presents them as these acts of purification, reflecting this submission to God's will.
It's fascinating how actions that we might consider mundane can be elevated to acts of worship when performed with intention and awareness. You know, it's about recognizing the sacred in the everyday.
And there's this beautiful connection to Prophet Ibrahim, or Abraham as he's known in English, that's mentioned in the book. It says that he was the first to adopt some of these practices, linking the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to this lineage of prophets, upholding these timeless traditions.
It creates this sense of continuity, showing that these practices aren't arbitrary, but rooted in a deep spiritual heritage. It connects us to a chain of prophets and a timeless pursuit of purity and alignment with God's will.
There's even this really charming anecdote about Ibrahim noticing his first gray hair. He asks God what it is. God replies, "It is dignity, Ibrahim." Pleased with this, Ibrahim asks for even more dignity.
That story beautifully illustrates how even the natural process of aging is seen as a source of dignity in Islam. It's not something to be feared or concealed, but embraced as a sign of wisdom and experience.
And it kind of ties back into that concept of fitra, suggesting that our natural state is one of dignity and honor, qualities that kind of increase as we mature and grow closer to God.
And speaking of dignity, the book delves into the details of trimming the mustache, which might seem like a minor detail, but it really highlights this emphasis on balance and moderation in Islam.
Because Imam Malik clarifies that it's not about shaving it off completely, which would be a form of self-mutilation, but rather trimming it just enough to reveal the edge of the lip.
It's about maintaining a balance between cleanliness and respecting our natural form. You know, it's a reminder that Islam discourages extremes and encourages us to find that middle path in all aspects of life.
This attention to detail is just so fascinating.
It is.
It's like even the smallest actions can be infused with meaning and intention.
Yes.
It makes you wonder about the significance of other seemingly mundane things we do every day.
That's the beauty of studying these texts. They open our eyes to these deeper dimensions of our actions and encourage us to bring mindfulness to even the most routine aspects of our lives.
Moving on. The book tackles a topic that we might not give much thought to these days. The right hand. It specifically prohibits eating with the left hand. Which seems surprising at first.
It also mentions disapproval for walking in one's sandal. And wrapping a garment indecently.
Interesting.
So all of these seemingly unrelated actions point to a deeper cultural and spiritual significance attached to the right hand.
It's almost like the right hand represents something pure and honorable, while the left hand is associated with actions that are considered less respectful.
Exactly. And to emphasize this distinction, The prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is quoted as saying that Satan eats and drinks with his left hand.
Wow.
So you have this...
That's a powerful image.
Yes.
Contrasting the purity and the blessings associated with the right hand with the impurity attributed to the left.
Right.
Do you think this is a purely symbolic distinction, or is there a practical element to it as well?
I think it's likely a combination of both.
Okay.
You know, in many cultures, including pre-Islamic Arabia, the left hand was associated with unclean tasks.
Okay.
And so this cultural context likely informed the Islamic emphasis on using the right hand for honorable actions.
Right.
You know, reinforcing hygiene and social norms.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting how these practices blend practical considerations with deeper spiritual meanings.
And it reminds us that cultural contexts play a role in shaping religious practices. And understanding those contexts can enrich our understanding of the teachings.
Have you ever noticed cultural preferences for using one hand over the other?
Oh, absolutely.
In your own experiences?
Yes. It's fascinating how these seemingly small details can carry such deep cultural and religious significance.
Yeah.
You know, it's a reminder that even simple acts like eating or passing an object can be imbued with meaning and intention.
It makes you wonder about the subtle ways our uncultures shape our perceptions and behaviors.
It does.
Even those we might not be consciously aware of.
Absolutely. It encourages a sense of curiosity and observation, prompting us to look deeper into the cultural nuances that shape our lives and interactions.
This deep dive is already making me see the world with a fresh perspective.
That's the power of these texts. They offer a lens through which we can re-examine our assumptions and discover deeper layers of meaning in the world around us.
Speaking of deeper layers, the book then shifts its focus to a topic that's unfortunately very relevant today.
Okay.
Poverty.
Yes.
But it doesn't just talk about, like, lacking money or possessions.
Right.
It delves into this concept of the very poor, which has a much more profound definition.
Yes. The prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, described the very poor as those who don't have enough for themselves, but go unnoticed by society, neither receiving charity nor resorting to begging. So it's this heartbreaking concept of hidden poverty.
Yeah, it's like they're suffering silently.
Yes.
Their needs hidden from view.
Yes.
It's a powerful reminder that poverty isn't always visible. And that we need to be more attuned to the subtle signs of struggle in our communities.
It challenges us to look beyond appearances. And to be more proactive in seeking out those who might need help. Even if they don't explicitly ask for it. It's about cultivating a deeper sense of empathy and social responsibility.
It also makes me reflect on the act of giving.
Yes.
You know, the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, encourages giving to the very poor, even if it's something as small as a roasted hoof.
It's about recognizing the dignity of every individual, regardless of their circumstances, and offering support in a way that preserves their self-respect. It's not about grand gestures, but consistent acts of kindness and compassion.
This teaching is a beautiful call to action, urging us to be more sensitive and aware of the needs of those around us, especially those who might be struggling in silence.
Yes.
It's about creating a safety net for the most vulnerable members of our society.
It's absolutely a safety net built on empathy and compassion.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the Muwatta Imam Malik, Book 49, The Description of the Prophet.
It's incredible how much ground we've covered.
It really is.
From spiritual insights to practical guidance on everyday matters.
I know, and I'm still thinking about that concept of hidden poverty.
Yeah.
It's really stayed with me.
It's a powerful reminder.
It is.
To be more aware of the needs of those around us.
Absolutely.
Even those who might not be visibly struggling.
Speaking of awareness, I found the section on dietary recommendations really fascinating.
Oh, me too.
There's this hadith about drinking from silver vessels that really made me pause. It says that a person who drinks from a silver vessel brings the fire of Jahannam into his belly.
Yeah, it's a strong statement for sure.
It is. What do you think is the underlying reason for this prohibition?
Well, scholars have offered various interpretations. Some highlight the potential health risks associated with prolonged exposure to silver.
Interesting.
Particularly its accumulation in the body over time.
So it's like even centuries ago.
Yeah.
They had this understanding of the potential dangers
Right.
of certain materials.
It speaks to this holistic understanding of well-being,
Yeah.
where physical health is intertwined with spiritual well-being.
Right.
You can't have one without the other.
And then other scholars kind of focus on the symbolism of silver.
Right.
It's often associated with wealth and extravagance.
Exactly. So the prohibition might be a reminder to avoid excessive materialism and to focus on the true sources of nourishment,
Right.
both physical and spiritual.
That makes sense. It's about keeping our desires in check.
Yeah.
Recognizing that true contentment comes not from, accumulating possessions,
Right.
but from cultivating inner peace and gratitude.
Absolutely. And it reminds us to prioritize the things that truly matter.
Like what?
Our connection with God, our relationships with others,
Yeah.
and our contributions to the world.
And there's also that interesting story about the prophet initially wearing a gold ring.
Yes.
But then he discarded it.
He did.
Declaring he would never wear it again.
It's a powerful statement.
It is, and his companions followed suit, throwing away their gold rings as well.
It's interesting how even something as personal as wearing a ring can have these broader social and cultural implications.
What do you think was the message behind that?
Well, some scholars suggest it was a way to discourage extravagance and to promote simplicity. Particularly in a society where outward displays of wealth could create divisions.
Well, it's like he was setting an example.
Exactly. True leadership is about humility.
Yeah.
And prioritizing the well-being of the community over personal gain.
And other scholars have pointed out that gold was more commonly worn by women at that time.
Right.
So maybe this action was a way to kind of discourage men from imitating women. And maintain those clear distinctions between genders.
Right. It's fascinating how these actions reflect the social norms and values of the time.
It really makes you think about the messages we send through our own choices, whether conscious or not.
It does.
And the ripple effects those choices can have.
Yeah, our actions can influence those around us.
Right.
So it's important to be mindful of the messages we convey.
And make sure they align with our values.
Exactly.
I've really enjoyed this deep dive into the Muwatta.
Me too. It's been so enlightening.
It's amazing how it covers such a wide range of topics. From personal hygiene and dietary choices to social etiquette and spiritual insights.
It's a testament to the comprehensiveness of Islam.
Right.
Providing guidance for every aspect of life.
I'm especially struck by that recurring theme of compassion and social responsibility.
Yes.
We talk about hidden poverty, the importance of giving to those in need, even the significance of showing kindness to animals.
It's all interconnected.
It is like these teachings are weaving this tapestry of interconnectedness, reminding us that our actions have these far-reaching consequences.
Well, exactly. It's about cultivating empathy. Recognizing the inherent worth of every being.
Right.
And extending our circle of compassion to encompass all of creation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what would you say are some key takeaways?
Okay, well, I think one of the most profound insights is this emphasis on balance and moderation in all things. Whether it's trimming the mustache, avoiding extravagance, navigating social interactions. It's about finding that middle path, avoiding extremes. Approaching life with wisdom and discernment.
That really resonates with me.
It's about recognizing that true fulfillment comes not from chasing fleeting desires, but from cultivating inner peace, gratitude, a sense of interconnectedness.
And another takeaway is the impact of even seemingly insignificant actions. Using the right hand for eating, being mindful of our speech, extending a simple act of kindness.
Every moment is an opportunity to align ourselves with God's will and contribute to a more just and compassionate world.
It's like our lives are a collection of these moments.
They are.
And it's through our choices in those moments that we shape our character and leave our mark on the world.
Beautifully said.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Muwatta Imam Malik.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope it sparked your curiosity. And inspired you to explore its rich teachings further.
May the wisdom and guidance we've gleaned from this exploration illuminate our paths.
Yes.
And guide us towards a more just compassionate and interconnected world.